All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, guys. So for this session, we're gonna cover chapters or assignment number 9 and assignment number 10. So I guess what I'm gonna start off with is just kind of a refresher, so that way you guys remember how to calculate a mixed fraction and turn it into a fraction. And then I'm also going to cover again how to divide two fractions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started with the mixed fraction part. So with a mixed fraction, what you need to understand is like, so if you have like, let's say it's 2 and 3/5. And then let's say that we're multiplying that times, let's say it's 2/3. So what you need to do first when you're doing a problem like this part, we need to convert it to a fraction. So what you do with that is you actually got to multiply this big 2. You got to multiply that times the 5 down here. So it'll be 2 times 5, which is 10, and then you add this number up here. So you add the 3. So 2 times 5 is going to be 10, and then plus 3 is going to be 13. So then now your new fraction is going to be 13/5. And then multiply that times 2/3. So then 13, the way that you do this is you multiply it across. So 13 times 2 and then 5 times 3. And then that'll be your answer. So anytime that you're multiplying two fractions, all you do is you just multiply across and that's it. So what you're going to do in this case is all you're going to do is 13 times 2 is going to be 26. And then over, and then 5 times 3 is going to be 15. And that's it. If you're able to simplify, then you can simplify. In most cases, a lot of these numbers you're not going to be able to simplify, but it's just going to depend on whether you're able to simplify by 2, by 3, by 5. So like in this case, if you try to divide 26 by 3, that's not going to work. You can divide it by 2, but then you can't divide 15 by 2. So in this case right here, that's it. You're done. So this is going to be your answer for that. So that's for using a mixed fraction. So again, the way that you got to do it is you multiply the big number times the number that's on the bottom, and then you add the number that's on the top. So 2 times 5 plus 3. And that'll be 13 on the top. And then you keep the bottom number, you keep that number the same, and you leave it on the bottom. So then once you have that into a fraction form, 13/5, and then you're multiplying it times another fraction, then all you do is you just multiply them across. So all it is now is 13 times 2 and 5 times 3, and that'll be your top number and bottom number, and that's it. You're done. Now, just to cover again, so a lot of these are all going to be similar. So let's say that we're dividing two fractions now. So for dividing two fractions, let's say that it's something like, let's go ahead and use something like 2/5 divided by, let's say it's 4/7, something like that, right? So what you got to do here is you never divide two fractions. All you're going to do is you're going to flip this around. You're going to get the reciprocal. So you flip that around, and then this is going to turn into a multiplying sign. So now it's going to be 2 over 5 times the reciprocal of 4 over 7, which is now the 7 is going to be on top and the 4 is going to be on the bottom. So now you just multiply across, just like how we did before. So now all it is just 2 times 7, which is now 14, over, and then 5 times 4, which is going to be 20. Now in this case, both of them you can actually simplify by 2. So since they're both even numbers, now we can simplify. So we can divide that number by 2, or simplify by 2. So now this number is going to be 7 over 10. And then that's going to be your answer there. So 7 over 10. So again, so now you never divide the two fractions. All you're going to do is you're going to get the reciprocal and then change this into a multiplying sign. So now once you flip this side over here, then you change the sign to a multiplying sign. And then now it's going to be 14 over 20. And then you can simplify that. And now it's going to be 7 over 10. And that's it. And then that's your answer. You're done. So that's just to kind of recap what we've been doing. So just so you guys know, we're going to have a test next week. So that's why it's really important to make sure we understand all of these things that we've been covering. So that way, once you take that test next week, you're able to do a good job. So, so covering assignment number 9. So covering assignment number 9, the very first question that we're going over is we're going to be covering, the question is going to be 4 over 5 times 2 over 3. So 4 over 5 times 2 over 3. So this is super easy. We just covered it right now. All you do when you're multiplying fractions is you multiply across. So once you multiply across, then all it is 4 times 2, which is 8, over 5 times 3, which is 15. And that's it. That's your answer. So super easy. All you're really doing is you're just multiplying like simple numbers. And then that's your answer. So that's the answer for number 1. So the rest of them, you can kind of figure it out on your own. Let me see if I can cover, yeah, let me do one of these right here. So one of them is 48.3. And it's a negative 48.3 divided by negative 7. So the first thing that you have to pay attention to is that since both of the signs are negative, they're the same sign, the answer is going to be positive. So for sure, I already know that the answer is going to be positive. If one of these was positive and the other one was negative, then the answer would be a negative. But when the signs are the same, so if they're both positive, then the answer is going to be positive. If they're both negative, then the answer is still going to be positive. So when the signs are the same, then it's going to be positive. When they're different, whichever one is positive or negative, if they're different, then the answer will be negative. So in this case, I already know that the answer is going to be negative. So this right here is the same thing as saying 48.3. So negative over negative 7. So it's the same thing as writing it like that, because this one's first, so it's on top. So what you have to do is you have to do the old way that we used to do it. So 48.3, you put that in here. because the cowboy rides the horse, and then the cowboy is going to sleep inside the house. So 48.3 goes in here, and then the 7 goes out here. So now you just have to solve it like we normally would. So 48 would be divided by 7. How many times does 7 go into 48? So it actually goes in there 6 times. So 7 times 6 is going to be 42. So 42 right here. And then you subtract the 48 and 42. So that's going to be 6 down here. And then that 3, we're going to drop it down. And remember, because there's already a decimal here, then we need to put the decimal right here. So we drop that 3 down. And now we have 63. So now you have to figure out how many times does 7 go into 63. And so you're going to find out that 9 times. So 9 times 7 is 63. And then you're done. So you're done with that. So the cool thing here is you have to remember that since it is both negative, then this is your answer right here. We don't have to add a negative on there or anything like that. There's no extra steps. So because they're both negative, that's a positive answer. So 6.9 is going to be the answer for that one. And then the rest, I will let you guys answer on your own. If you're doing the quizzes app, you don't have to worry about all of those letters on the sides on assignment number 9. But if you're doing them by hand and turning them in, then you're going to have to do the letters that are on the side of the page. And I'm going to upload the quizzes link right after this. So I already created it for 9 and 10. All I have to do is just upload it. So as soon as we're done with this Zoom session, I'm going to upload assignment number 9 and assignment number 10 to Google Classroom. And then you're going to have the link to the quizzes. So that's going to be for assignment number 9. So assignment number 9 is pretty short. I think it's just that one page, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Okay, so after that, I'm going to go to assignment number 10. So just finish all of those answers on assignment number 9. All of them, the main thing that you're going to have to remember is that you're doing them with this understanding. So if it's a negative number times a negative number, then that's going to be positive. Just write it text. So that'll be positive. And then if you're doing, let's say it's a negative number, divided by a negative number, then same thing. It's going to be positive also. So that's the main thing that you have to remember when you're doing all of these questions right here. So next one I'm going to cover is assignment number 10. So on assignment number 10, same thing we're going to be covering is multiplying and dividing rationals in real life situations. So now it's kind of the same thing, but all it is we're adding some words now. So on the first one, on the assignment number 10, is you have this word problem. So the word problem is Mrs. Neville is baking 5 batches of cookies. She will need 2.5 cups of flour for each batch of cookies. If she begins with a 20-cup bag of flour, what is the resulting change in the amount of flour in the bag? So for these questions, I know that there's a lot of words, but you have to make sure that you're understanding everything. So you have to make sure that you read it correctly. That way you understand the problem. So she's baking 5 batches of cookies. She's going to need 2.5 cups of flour for each batch. So per batch. So per batch, 2.5 cups of flour. And then she's also going to need, and then she's starting with the 20-cup bag of flour. So what you need to find out is, or what you need to know is that she has 20 cups of flour and she's making 2.5 cups per bag. So she starts off with 20 cups of flour. That's what she has. So then what they want to know is what is the resulting change of the amount of flour in the bag. So how much of cups of flour is she going to use? So if she uses 2.5, so basically it's 2.5 5 times. 2.5, and another 2.5, and another 2.5, or you can do 2.5 times 5, whichever is easier for you guys. And another 2.5. So then you have to add them all up. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then half and another half is going to be 1. So that's 11. Half and another half is another 1. So that's 12. And then another half. So basically it's 12.5, right? 12.5 cups of flour. So same thing with the other question. So the second question, you need to figure out what you need to know, or what you do know, what you need to know. Then you have to work the problem out, and then you have to give the actual solution after that. So these are all kind of similar to everything that we've been doing. So let me do kind of another example here. So let's say the same thing. So let's say that they were saying that you're going to make a cake, right? And to make the cake, you have you need 1.5 cups of flour, and then let's say that you decide to make so that's 1.5 cups of flour per cake. And let's say that you want to make 3 cakes. So then if they ask you, okay, well, if you need to make 3 cakes, how much flour are you going to use? So all you're really doing is you're multiplying the 1.5 times 3, or you can do it like how I just did it in the previous problem, where you do 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.5, or you can do 1.5 times 3. So either way, whichever way you end up wanting to do it. So let's say that we do 1.5, do it the other way. So 1.5 plus 1.5. plus 1.5. And then you just add those all up. So this top one is going to be a 1, and this bottom one is going to be a 2. So you add all those up, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then half and another half, that's 4, and then another half, that's 4.5. 4.5 or 4 and 1/2. And that's it. If you do it this way right here, then what you would do is you do 1 times the 2 on the bottom, and then you add that 1 up here. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So 3 over 2. And then times. And then this 3 over here is the same thing as saying 3 over 1. So any whole number is the same thing as saying 3 over 1. And so all you do is you multiply across. So you multiply 3 times 3 and then 2 times 1 down here. So then you're going to get 3 times 3, which is 9. And then 9 over 2. So how many times does 2 go into 9? So that's what you have to figure out. So you would do this. So 2 goes into 9 4 times. So 4 times 2 is 8. And then you're left with a 1. And then 2 does not go into 1, so we have to add a 0 there. When you add a 0, you do a decimal up here, and you bring that 0 down. So now it's going to be 10. So 2 goes into 10 how many times? 5. So same exact thing. So 4.5, 4.5 if you do it this way, same exact answer. So that's how you do those. On Friday, I'm going to cover assignment number 11. Remember, guys, I think that the best thing to do is whenever I upload the quizzes or whenever I upload these assignments and we finish the Zoom meeting, I think that you guys should try to do it because I keep seeing a lot of people turning them in like at midnight or turning them in late. Whenever you turn in something late, that does deduct points. So I would try to turn them in as quick as possible, like after these Zoom meetings or whenever you guys have a chance, because it's pretty difficult. So if you're waiting to the last minute, I'm sure you guys have other classes that you have homework due. So, you know, it's going to be a lot harder if we, you know, if we're trying to do it like that all at the last day, at the last minute. So it's going to be a lot harder and you guys are going to be stressing yourself out even more. So honestly, I think every single one of these assignments should take you guys probably 20 to 30 minutes at the most. So, you know, and I'm giving you guys about 2 to 3 days to do it. So I'm going to open it up to see if there's any questions for anything. And then if you guys have any questions, then we can do that. Let's see. So. Let's see. All right. So anybody have any questions on anything?
Mr. G.
No.
Yeah.
Do you do the paper in the quiz?
Is there a paper in the quiz?
Do you do the paper in the quiz?
Yeah, so the quiz, like the quizzes is the same thing as the assignment. So all I'm doing is the actual. So if you guys are doing one or the other, then
Mr. G, I have a question.
yeah.
Like are you like climbing is it's kind of getting hard or like you said it's getting more advanced. And I was thinking, can you send our paperwork 2 at a time?
Can I send
I
the
have a
paperwork?
question. Are you using Microsoft Paint?
What?
Okay, send me the message through private chat. So that way, like through Google Classroom.
Like, yeah, because
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, send it to me through the Google Classroom because I can't really hear. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, send it through Google Classroom or send it through the.
Are you using Microsoft Paint? Answer me.
Then let them know so that they can send me a question. And then, like I said, I'm going to post this video online on YouTube right after this. It takes me about an hour to edit it. And then you guys will be able to go back and view it online. So as soon as this is over, if you guys are doing the assignment and you still don't really understand something, I would recommend that you go back and you try to see what the actual problem is and see if you can find it on the Zoom session from right now. But most of this stuff is like the same thing that we've been covering for like the past 2 or 3 weeks. And remember, it's really important that you guys learn how to do this because next week we're going to have a test on this. So yeah, I'm going to end the session right now. If you have any questions, send it through the Google Classroom through private chat, or let your parents know to message me so that way I can answer any questions that you guys have. All right, so I'm going to end the meeting, and I'll see you guys on Friday at 1:30.